Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tarkov. I'm the EarLegAthlete here with.
Hey, Dizzle.
And today we're going to discuss Partisan and Kollontay, which will conclude this series on how to hunt bosses. We hope you enjoy. Get right into it. Partisan. He's stealthy, he's old, and he's got an excessive amount of wire and grenades. I guess the question is, once you know he's in your raid, or maybe we should start with that. What are the signs that show he's even around? Like, how do you know that Partisan's stalking you or following you?
You definitely know he's there once you see a trip mine because unless it's another PMC that's put it up, but 90% of the time he's going to put several up. So you'll see every doorway is going to have some in front of them, or even just out in random open places, he'll put 3 or 4. If you see that, then there's a pretty good chance that Partisan is nearby. Um, Also, if you hear his voice, he's got a pretty distinct voice. He speaks Russian, but it's a lower tone, like not like a scav. Um, so if you hear that, you know he's nearby. He can also stalk you, so you can just catch glimpses of him. Like if you're out and about and you just happen to see something and you don't hear anything, you don't really see anybody like trying to fight you. Well, it's probably him. He's probably just watching you. Um, when you know that when you know that he's there, your best bet is to try to locate him immediately and take him out because he's going to try to set mines around you eventually. So it's better to take him out in the open instead of letting him get you in one of the places where he likes to set stuff up.
Right. Or
Um,
even worse, like he's just following you and you get into another fight with a player, boss, or
yeah,
scavs or anything, and then he's just gonna third party.
yeah, he will
Um,
third party you. Um, but yeah, he's just if he's in your raid, he's a threat. Like sometimes he'll be passive, like, there has been raids where I've definitely seen him, he's definitely been near me, but then I just never had to fight him. I don't know if it's because he ended up, fighting someone else and just lost interest, or if that's just the way he's supposed to act. It's supposed to have something to do with your karma. I don't know everything about that yet, but your PMC karma affects how aggro he is to you. Although he's always gonna, if you come face to face with him, he's always gonna fight you, whether you have good karma, bad karma.
yeah, once you're within that
Um,
aggro
Not
zone.
like he's a friendly, yeah, not like he's a friendly boss or anything.
Right.
But yeah, I think that your best bet is to immediately just try your best to find him, try to locate him, and in a gunfight straight up, you have a good chance he's not armored. He's not like one of the most tanky bosses. I believe he
No,
has
he's
900
950.
950, yeah, 950
Yeah.
health. He's only got
80 in the head.
yeah, so a shot of like M62, I think does I think it's 79 damage, so it takes something a little more powerful than M62 to one tap him. But, a couple shots of most ammo, he's gonna go down.
Right. This
Um,
I'd say the scariest thing about Partisan, about quoting Kollontay for some reason. The scariest thing about Partisan is just the ammo that he uses. Like he's always got good ammo every time. I think the worst that he'll
right.
use is like his 7.62 AK, and with that, it's still the PP ammo. So
Yeah, well, he can also have BP in his AK.
right,
Um,
yeah, it's just a chance that you get
yeah,
hit with the PP. But outside of that, yeah, like he doesn't have armor on, no helmet. He is currently bugged, like you said now, so it is kind of hard. Well, it is much easier now, but in the near future, with the patch coming and everything, I'd say he'll be fixed
right.
again. And like Adam said, your best bet is once you do see him or notice that he's there, kind of try to not necessarily tuck in somewhere, but find somewhere where you can have a little bit of cover and just try to bait him into you or just get your shots on him because he is a force to be reckoned with when you're already trying to do other things. Last thing you want to do is be chasing down a PMC or a boss or anything like that and start hitting trip mines or have him run up behind you in third party. So it really is in your best interest. As soon as you notice the trip wires, as soon as you see him or whatever it is, it's just stop and fight. And that's not always what we suggest. I know we're always talking about cover and grenade spam and all that kind of stuff, but with Partisan, he's moving with you. So
Yeah.
it's hard to always have that best cover. Or it's hard to always have ample time to throw grenades and move and get the situation under control. With
He's a
Partisan,
unique boss.
he is he's definitely. Because he'll roam the entire map following you around,
Yeah,
waiting for you
yeah.
to be in the right spot to walk into trip
The
mines or.
only boss as of now that you have to absolutely watch out for in every area. Like he could be anywhere on any of his 4 maps. Like he could be anywhere. Now I haven't seen him like inside resort. I have seen him up at resort, like outside, along like the fence line or something like that. But I've never seen him like inside of resort. I've never seen him like inside of dorms. So I don't know if
I've
he
not seen him down in the
ever
sawmill
goes.
either.
Yeah, well, I have seen him down the sawmill. I have seen him like
Like
down
actually
in the
in the
sawmill.
sawmill.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
like down
I
by
had not.
the yeah, I've seen him down by like the trailers there. But I just, he's quick. He runs pretty quick. He he's a good shot. Like if he actually does engage you, he's a pretty good shot. I feel like he doesn't
Well,
miss much of his
that's a
shots.
lot of the players' complaint. That's a lot of players' complaints is that he runs them down before they even realize what hit them. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're waiting on the loading
Yeah,
screen on the menu to load so they can tell what they died to because he's just so quiet and so quick.
right.
Um,
Right.
so what what would you suggest would be like if you're going to wood, shoreline, lighthouse, or customs? What would you say would be the smartest way to go about if even if you're not sure if he's in raid yet? What do you think you should? Is it as simple as just move slow and keep an eye out and pay attention? Because you can't just sit in
Um
one spot. That's going to make him aggro to you faster, right?
right, right.
If you can't just wait and see if he's going to show up or if you start hearing trip mines. Because once you are sitting for so long, either extract camping, sitting in spawn, something like that, that'll make him aggro you too.
Well, here's the thing. It depends on what kind of player you are. If you're the type of player where you're killing teammates, you're killing scavs on your scav, if you've accumulated a bunch of negative karma, he's probably going to come straight at you more than likely. As soon as the raid starts, he's probably going to track you down. And that's why I think you hear people complaining like, "Oh, you got to get rid of Partisan. Like every time I go in raid, he just chases me down and kills me." Like I think those are the kind of people he's doing that to. So I would say if you're more on the, you know, normal side of a player where you don't kill your teammates, aren't really bad scav that just kills all the other scavs, I think you're pretty safe. Now obviously, like we said before, if you come face to face with him, he is gonna fight you. But
Well, and that
I
varies a
don't
little
think
bit from PvP to PvE too, right? Because on PvE, he just spawns in on the map with you, and it seems like we don't kill each other. You know what I mean? Like, when's the last time either one of us have killed the other one?
well, I think on PvE the thing is because you don't have other real players,
Right.
like so there's no one for him to go chase down. So yeah, like you said, it's different. In PvP, he has real people with negative karma, so he chases them down. On
Yeah,
PvE,
your
you're
average
the only
player can just
one
avoid
there,
it in
right?
PvP.
Um, but yeah, so like he's a very good boss in the sense that he waits for you to kind of get into a bad position, like not expect him. You know what I mean? I think that's why so many people complain because it's like they're just not ready for a boss fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Most bosses, they're there, they're yelling at you, they're throwing nades, they're shooting, there's guards, there's
Right.
just chaos. With him, there's not. Like
There's no
it's
way
just
of
quiet.
knowing until A, he's right on you, B, you're right at his trip mines, or C, you happen to see him. With the
Or D
goons,
calls you.
or what?
D he calls you on your phone.
Oh, yeah, he could call you. That's true.
He's got a phone.
He does. It's really nice too. It's like the ROG gaming phone.
Yeah.
He's a big gamer.
Yep.
He likes mobile games.
Yep.
But like with the goons, you know when they're about to attack, right? Because you get the sniper shot overhead.
Yep.
Pipe will be yelling, Knight will be yelling. There's plenty of noise, plenty of shots.
Yeah, you
With
get some kind of
Partisan,
indication.
yeah, if you were just running and Partisan hasn't set up traps for you yet, or you happen to avoid his traps without realizing it, next thing you know, you're trying to shoot a scav or a player or whatever, and you're just dead. So I mean, I think it really is a lot of it boils down to, at least for the early detection of Partisan, is you have to just assume he's there anytime you go to those 4 maps, and just always keep your head on a swivel, because he's the only boss that forces you to still play the raid like you normally would. Because if you just say, "Oh, Partisan could be here," and then you start going extra slow and doing things that you wouldn't normally do, and kind of sitting around waiting on him to push you, you're going to lose your opportunity for your entire raid. You're not going to get anything done. You're not going to get your task done. you have to still play the raid as normal. You just really have to have your head on a swivel. I don't. There's not a
Yeah,
solid
that's
tactic for moving through the maps when before you know if Partisan's there, or even if you do know Partisan's there, but you haven't seen him yet. You just have to be ready because he
right.
really can just pop up at any time. So once
Yeah.
you either know he's there, or if you're on one of the 4 maps that he can be there, keep doing your thing as normal. Don't let him stop you. Just expect it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is expecting it to happen.
Yeah, because with like so far with my experiences with him, like if he's not like trying to fight me immediately, then I think, he'll just hang back. Like he doesn't seem like, what I mean? Like there's been raids where I've finished the raid knowing he was there without him ever shooting at me. I don't know if that's intended to be that way or if that's just him like scouting me out and he just decided not to, pursue the fight. I'm not sure
Well,
where he's so new. I'm not sure how that works because there's other fights or other times when he would eventually make a move. You know what I mean? Like he would hang back and then once I'm inside a building, he'll start setting tripwires out in front of the doors. You know what I mean? So it's like I've had both things happen. So I don't know like why he chooses which one. Like I don't know.
and I wonder, especially on PVE, if he is going to be on whatever spawn chance, since he can't just come in to hunt that player specifically. So I mean, it could still be somewhat karma based. It could still be, relative to how you play, I guess, to a degree. If he's like aggressive towards you right away, or if he's kind
Right.
of hesitant to attack because he doesn't really have a reason to at the time. But nonetheless, like Adam just said, it happens both ways multiple times. So preparedness is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to him because he's so
It's almost like
he's
fighting a
got
player, right? Because he moves
it
so
is.
much. Outside of him setting tripwires, which I mean players can do now too, so that's unfortunate.
Right.
But outside of
Well,
that, like he's essentially like fighting maybe even more in line with like a cultist because of how
and
stealthy he is.
yeah, and just to point this out, I don't know how accurate this is going to be once the patch happens, but as of right now, like I said, he's bugged. He has sound. So that's definitely going to go away with the patch, I would assume. But also, Nikita said that they've been working on his like trapping abilities, and so I imagine he's going to change a little bit. And also, whenever he sees you and like de-aggroes or runs away to like plant like a trip mine, sometimes he just like starts looking the other way, and you can just like headshot him because he'll just not even look your direction anymore. So I think he's pretty bugged at the moment. Um,
Yeah,
all that should change, I would imagine. So that's going to be, probably another layer to fighting him that we'll have to go over again once he gets once everything gets fixed with his AI and all the bugs get ironed out. Because like I said, there's been several times where he just goes
starts to run
away
away and
and
just sits
yeah, and then
there.
just yeah
Yeah,
looks up or turns and looks the other direction, and I'm just like,
right.
okay, like okay, I'll shoot you
Yeah,
then. But so yeah, so we'll probably have to go over him again just because he's so new and things are still getting ironed out, and he's BSG's trying new things with him, so I wouldn't be surprised if they added some things later on that he's doing. Um,
yeah. Just because this concludes a series on how to hunt bosses doesn't mean that this is over by any means. This is just wrapping up what we have currently.
I I don't know.
Um, yeah, I would expect an entirely different partisan fight once the patch happens, just because of hopefully everything gets fixed and he's
Right.
moving stealthily and he's acting correctly. But that's we'll find that out in time.
Well,
Like
even
you
if it's
said,
just the main 2 things, even if they just patch the footsteps and him, like, de-aggroing just, like, a few feet away from you, like, if they
right?
patch those 2 things, that's gonna change a lot.
Yeah, it'll change it a lot. It would. But like you said, there's not a whole lot of tactic to it outside of constantly be ready when you're on those maps. If you do
Right.
recognize him and do see him, try to find some sort of cover, a rock, a tree, something that you're, relatively safe behind just because he is a good shot.
Yeah.
Um, you got to hit your shots. That's a big part of the partisan fight, is being able to pull up ADS and hit him. Because he does
Um,
give you opportunities.
yeah, he does. If you do kill him, loot-wise, he's usually got a ton of grenades on him. He's usually got, like, impact nades and, like, sometimes he'll have a, grenade launcher on his gun. So sometimes he'll have some of those nades.
I'll
Uh,
have Vogue
really, I
25s,
don't
F1s, all those.
yeah, I don't remember ever, like, finding anything great. Like,
No, he doesn't
I
spawn
think
with
I've
anything good.
oh, his backpack.
Well,
This
okay,
is
okay,
probably gonna
yeah,
get
that's
patched too.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah, this
imagine
is
so.
probably going to get patched because right now his backpack, basically, if you stack two of his backpacks, it opens up 8 slots. His backpack goes inside the other one, so basically it's infinite space if you just keep stacking his backpacks. Um, I doubt they're going to leave that. They've had that problem with other things in the past, and they eventually patched it out. So I would assume that's going to happen here. But just back to the loot wise, I don't think I've ever found anything great on him as far as key cards or anything like that.
I
Have
don't think
you?
he hasn't. No, I'm pretty sure he only has his med stuff and his grenades. Like he's got his
Okay.
gun, his mags, his meds, and his grenades, and that's it. You don't get tripwires off of him. The best thing you're gonna get is a backpack and whatever ammo he's rocking. I will say that if you do find his, I don't know how many variants. I do know the AK, the big one, the 74, has his butt stock on it with the medical tape. It's actually really good when you put the butt pad on there. So that could be worthwhile for looting too. I don't know if that's readily available on the market. I can't remember, but
Yeah, I don't know.
like outside of getting a few good weapon parts, some good ammo, and then that backpack, which is absolutely worth farming up and trying to stack a bunch up right now before they
Right.
patch it. I guess maybe we'll see. But like outside of that, yeah, I think it's more of hey, I got the kill on Partisan. You know,
Right. Yeah, early wipe, the main thing that you would get off him that you're not really gonna have is gonna be grenade launchers for, AKMs, and it's gonna be, like, a lot of
really
good
good ammo.
nades. That's
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
and good
yeah,
ammo. But
yeah.
nades, grenade launchers are, like, probably the 2 best things you're gonna get off of him. He can spawn in with the AVT, and that's also
Couple
gonna have good
shotguns too.
ammo, but yeah, shotguns, he runs, a lot of the shotguns, the MP series is, even the, revolver shotgun, the MT, um, the APS pistol, and, just a bunch of different nades. But mainly AKs. He's got the AKMS, the AKMSN, the AK-103, the AKS-74, the AKS-74N. So, yeah, he can have a lot of variations.
Yeah, and he usually has like 40 plus round mags in there too, so it's usually worthwhile.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much more to cover with Partisan.
No. Nope, at least
So
for now. Like I said, until he gets patched, we'll come back to it.
yeah,
'Cause the whole karma system and stuff, like, there's a lot to him.
right. Yeah, I think we'll definitely have to talk about him again once he's updated and working the way he's
Right.
intended to. Kollontay and his guards. I mean, I know that when I first started running streets and the few times that I'd ran into Kollontay or like on ground zero and would run into Kollontay, like when we were doing the zero to hero stuff,
Mhm.
that fight can just be outright frustrating. Like it is a pretty broken mechanic. Him being able to run up to you with his magical baton and melee you, and from there it's just like, oh my gun's jammed. Fuck, what do I like? It's rough, and he wants to do that. Like obviously he would prefer to keep you at a distance and just kill you from range with him and his guards gunning you down. But in those situations where you're holding cover or something like that, or he can't see you anymore, he is absolutely going to rush you and pull that baton out and try to melee you. And then from there, he's either going to hit you a couple more times because you're sitting there trying to fidget with your gun and fix the jam, or you're able to get away a little bit and then you're back in the gunfight with him and you got to try to keep the distance again. Like it's distance is absolutely the best thing to keep in mind with Kollontay. But so there's the mall and then there's MVD. We'll start with MVD and we'll move towards the mall. What would you say is the best approach or at least the cleanest approach? Like how would you go about if you know they're pretty sure they're in the MVD, how would you go about the whole situation there? Because it is a mess. It's a clusterfuck.
Right. It is. It's a cramped space, very small. So I would say first thing I would do, walking up, I would definitely try to peek into the left and right windows, see if anyone's there. Most of the time, you're going to see them in one of the two, and then you can either, if they're back against the wall and you feel comfortable enough going through the main door and like throwing a couple nades or even just peeking to get some shots, I think you're okay to do that. If you don't see them, I wouldn't feel comfortable just running through the front door because, like we said, Kalante has the baton. He can disable your firearm, so you want to stay away from him. It's always best to just look around. If you can see him on left or right, decide your next move from that. They're going to be, I think 5. Is it 5 of them? Is it him and
Yeah,
4 guards?
yeah, it's him plus 4
Okay.
guards.
So there's gonna be 5 of them in that building, so, it's kinda hard to keep track of all of them. So even if you see most of them in one area, there might still be another one that's moved up or back a little ways. So, just like with all fights, be careful, be cautious, but distance is the main thing. This is a tough place to fight because there's not much distance from end to end. So yeah, you got to prepare your next move, depending on where they are and depending on how far away they are from you. Because stressing it one more time, you don't want to get up close to them because the most frustrating mechanic in the game is him hitting you with a baton and you're gun jamming and you can't shoot him because he hit you with a baton.
Right.
I hate it, but that's the way it is. There's nothing we can do about it.
It's dude, that spot's just so sketchy. It's so hard to
It
discuss
is.
and just be
It
like
is.
outright this definitively over this. Like with all the
It
other
is.
bosses, it's so much easier. If you are dead set on going through the front door, or you know that's your best way of fighting, even if you've got them pushed one side or the other, that place is a death trap for you every single time. Even if there's just a couple of them left, it's such a dead spot. You can't really see on either side unless they're dead in front of you. It's just a hard spot to come in at. You have to turn corners to be able to hit shots on them. Even if you lean peek, like there's only so many options. Pretty much anywhere that you decide to stand your ground and fight at on NVD is going to be hard. The footage that we have showing it kind of makes it look like it's easier. It's like, oh, they just pushed them to one side and that was it, But like Adam said, they could be split up. They could be just one
Right.
here, two over here, one over there. So it really is watch the windows, take your time, and be cautious.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much more to add to MVD just because it's such a
Yeah. Yeah. There's
confined
just it
area.
kind
There's
of
not a lot of options.
right. The fight is already difficult, so it's hard to say how to do anything because you're in such a tiny space and you're trying to stay away from him, but at the same time you gotta get
You
sight
got
on
to
him.
be
So it's
inside
like,
there, or yeah,
yeah,
or
yeah. So and the footage we have, we got lucky because and that's the thing, you can get lucky, like you can. So it's not impossible, but you gotta be ready for all scenarios because it could not be, it could be he's right there in the middle the next time. And that's kind of all I'm trying to stress is like, even though it's a hard fight, there are times where you'll catch them lacking in the back and it's a pretty simple fight. You just got to figure it out by locating them and then making your next move.
a lot of times you can thin their numbers out before the fight really takes off just by using windows. Seriously,
Yeah.
guys, those left and right side windows up on the front face are so useful. Obviously, you don't want to just stand in front of the window and try to like peek and shoot inside. They're going to blow your head off. But take the cover through the playground. Be smart about it. Just again, be cautious, be slow.
Yeah.
But those windows are pretty huge. The other spawn he has is the Klimov shopping mall. That
Yes.
is a little easier to fight in for sure. And
Yeah, much easier.
you have a couple different options for approach. You've got, a nice open areas to throw your grenades. You've got good cover. You've got just about everything you want outside of distance to keep from Kollontay. But
Right.
a lot of the time, if you just work your way in, go in, you can go and check for the bloody rusted key, and then you can kind of prep yourself for the fight after that. We like to go in, throw a grenade up at the escalators, get that sound cue, figure out where footsteps are. Are they left side? Are they middle? Are they on the right? Are they tucked in? Like, what's going on? From there, we move back on the right hand side, double doors. You can take that backside staircase up. That's probably the
Yeah.
safest, cleanest
Yeah.
place to fight from.
Yeah. Never took the escalators because you could end up right in the middle of them.
Yeah, it's just a bad situation there. So if you go up those back steps, you've got a spot to fight from, a nice good cover to throw your grenades out of, and it puts decent amount of distance between you and Kollontay and the guards. That way, when they do start pushing, you're able to hold corner and just unload.
Yeah.
It's still not the easiest fight because again, they're going to be throwing grenades, they're going to be rushing, they're going to be trying to kill you. So it's still fighting Kollontay. You've just got a little
Yeah.
bit better chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, strategy comes in good on this area because, like you said, if you go where the rest of Bloody Key is, the escalator, there's a open space there to throw a couple grenades. You do get the sound cues, so before you even get up there, you already have an idea of number one, if they're there, number two, what side they're on, and number three, if it's safe to even go up there. Because if you just run up the escalator without throwing nades or anything, that's just you're asking for death pretty much. Because if they're around you, there's 5 of them, you're pretty much dead. You got to be careful. You got to put strategy in it. It is easier than the other place, but it's not easy.
Yeah, it's still Kollontay. If you were to push those back stairs without throwing the grenades, and the reason why the grenades are so important at the escalators is because they can just be standing right around the escalators. So you
Yeah.
come up the back stairs and they are literally 5 feet from you. Yes, you get sound keys and everything else, like we said, but it's also an opportunity to push them back away from you a bit too. So it's a pretty useful tool to always throw at the escalator.
Well, I
Um,
remember we came up the escalator one time. You remember that? We didn't know they were there, and we
oh, I
just
got
came right up
mowed
the
down
escalator, and you got shot
before
in
I
the
got
back.
off the
Yeah, yeah.
escalator. Yeah.
You were still on the escalator laying there. You got shot in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we've had personal experience with that. Like you definitely have to use nades just to get an idea of where they're at and figure out if they're just sitting there waiting on you or, the stairs on the other side or the stairs on the double doors, that's the much safer play. And just to put this out there, when you are approaching, they do have a mounted gun up in the top window. I think on the second floor, second
Second
or
floor,
third.
right side.
Yeah. So there is a mounted gun there. So be careful, just like walking up, from the hotel over there. If you just cross the road, um, there might be someone on the gun. We had someone with us one day who got shot. I can't remember who that was, but uh, we couldn't find them or we didn't see them, and we were leaving. And then one of them got on the gun and killed one of us. I just don't remember who it was.
Still.
And then we went back. Yeah, that's what it was. And then we went back and they were all there. You know what I mean? And we didn't even
Right.
know it the first time we were there. So yeah, you got to be careful about that gun too.
Yeah, and it's second floor on the far side.
Right. But that's more
Um,
about if you're approaching or leaving. It's not really
yeah,
about the fight.
and that's if you're going down the alley in front instead of
Right.
heading back up the main road there.
Yeah.
So again, he can have his 4 guard, or typically has his 4 guards. I don't think I've seen him with any less than his 4, other than on ground zero, he only has 2. But ground zero is chaotic enough. If
Right.
he's there on the map, you'll hear him, or he's gonna spawn right next to you. That's how it's gonna be. You're either gonna
Like
spawn in and he's pretty close to you, or anyways,
does
ignore all that. That's
he
irrelevant at the
really
moment.
only has 2
On
on
ground
ground zero?
zero, yeah. Sorry, middle of this episode is kind of fucky. Sorry. We'll talk about that in a second. At the Kollontay Mall, he's still gonna have his 4 guards. You're still gonna have to deal with all of them being armored up, all of them having good ammo. They rock he rocks the RPD, RPK, M60, AKs, a variant of things, and his followers are all mostly rocking AS Vals, SVDs, and AKs. Good ammo all the way around in those. So it's, again, not the easiest fight. I think grenades help you a lot in this situation, just because you're able to do so much with them. You're able to keep them away from you. You're able to put damage on them. But once the fight's on, especially once Kollontay starts pushing you, you've got to be able to just hit your shots. Full auto is probably pretty huge here. I like taking
Yeah.
in the 7.62 by 51, or I like taking in the 7.62 by 39. Either one of those, like the BP rounds, are really solid.
Yeah, because they wear face shields and stuff. Like they're pretty heavily armored. All of them.
Yeah, yeah, they all, from the shins up, they've got it on.
It's a lot like Rashala, the fight is. Like the guards, Rashala's not like Kalante, but the fight is like Rashala's guards. So you can pretty much just anything you do in a Rashala fight, also do in a Kalante fight. Um, the only difference being Kalante actually, is also armored and also very dangerous compared to Rashala. But the guards are very similar.
Yeah, for sure. So MVD, you're gonna use Windows. You're gonna just do your best to take it slow. Try to get some information out of them. Don't be too aggressive. Kollontay Mall, you have strategy here. Throw your grenades at the escalator. Go to the back right side double doors. Go up the back staircase. You have that whole spot to hold. It's perfect up there. It really is. That's the best place to fight him at the mall. And again, just lob grenades. Try to keep distance on him. And once he's pushing you, just make sure you're unloading, hitting your shots. Go for the head. Just shoot him straight in the face, especially if you've got good pin, good damage ammo. Outside of that, oh, there is another point of entry that they opened up recently,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, you can go in from the building before that, which has like the little playground inside of it, like the little toy castle with the slides and stuff. If you go upstairs in that room, you can go underneath one of the metal bars, which I believe used to be shut, and then it takes you to a back room that pretty much leads right in there to Kollontay spot. I know that's not a very good description, but you can get there. There is a way to get there. It's open, and I don't think it was before.
Yeah, so in the toy store place, you go in, you go to the left staircase, you go up it, and then you go back and to the right. It opens up into another store, and you run through. There's a doorway, and but that's like I would not suggest going that way. If
Yeah, that's
Kollontay and them are up there in the food court, you're gonna open that last door, and he could potentially be standing right there in that back hallway where he likes to sit, or you're gonna go out towards food court, and you're gonna run into all five of them with very little cover, very little room, and not a lot of distance.
you could
Um,
probably make it work, but it's definitely not as smart as going the other direction, the other
yeah,
way.
by all means, try it out. You know, be flexible with things, see what works for you. It may be better for you than it is for us, but I did want to mention that there is an alternate route. But personally, grenaded escalators, staircase in the back. That's the approach we take every time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to cover,
I don't think so. I think
or anything else
that's
that we
pretty
need to
much it.
cover? Yeah,
Just watch out for his baton. You know what I mean? He pull that thing out and jam your gun. That's it's
yeah. It's a magic baton. I mean,
Yep.
a little far fetched in Tarkov, but it's a mechanic that we have to deal with nonetheless. So
Just yeah, it's just the same as other bosses that have no sound. You know what I mean? It's something
right.
they give them to have an upper hand.
Other than that,
I think that's it.
yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything.
We covered his health and stuff, right? Didn't we?
No,
Okay.
but he's not too different. So
I think he's at 1055.
yeah, and he's got 65 on his head. The hardest thing to shoot through with Kollontay is his fucking thorax.
Yeah, his thorax is
He's
300.
got 300 of his health on there. Yeah, that's a lot. But not only do you have to get through
His
the armor, you have to chew through his chest too. So genuinely aim for the head.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't believe he wears any chest armor, but he does wear head armor, and his head being 65 is probably because of the face shield and the helmet he wears, um, which I'm pretty sure is only a level 3. So
Yeah,
it's probably
it's
best to go for headshots. Might even be level 2. I need to look that up, that helmet.
so if he has the black Vulcan on with the face shield, that's level 5 helmet with level 4 face shield. If he has the Alton on, it's level 5 helmet, level 5 face shield. If he has the Riz T, no face mask, level 5 helmet. He has the all black
I don't think
helmet
he
without
wears
the.
any of those, does he?
Oh wait, no, that's his guards. He
Yeah, I was
only
gonna say, I
wears
don't
the
think
fucking
he
fireman's
wears the
helmet. That shit's
PSH.
level
Yeah,
2.
he wears yeah, level 2 on the top and the nape and on the ears, and level 1 on the face shield.
Yeah, the PSH 97. That's right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
Jesus, dude. Yeah, I think that covers everything. I think that.
yeah,
Oh, ground zero. We can cover ground zero real quick. The strategies here vary a lot because he can, if a scav can spawn there, Kollontay can spawn in that location as well.
yeah.
He only spawns with 2 of his guards on ground zero, and typically what ends up happening is you spawn in and he's on the opposite side of the map, just firing away at whatever, and you know where he's at all times, almost all the time, because he stays busy on that map. The other thing that can happen that is really unfortunate, and it's just small map, bad spawns. You spawn in and he's literally just like across the street from you, and he's already aggroed, and it's a mess. It really is. I don't know how many times we spawned in trying to do this task or that task, and had to deal with a Kollontay spawn so close to us right off the rip.
Right.
And there's no way to prepare for that, right? Like there's nothing you can do outside of just being like, we're going to ground zero, we're over level 21, expect Kollontay. You can run into him literally anywhere on the map.
Yeah, ground zero is already chaos, and so it just makes it even more difficult. He could be anywhere, so it's one of those things you can't really go in with a strategy. You kind of just gotta wait and see. If you do bump into him, you just gotta make the best of it and just play it like you would any fight, but just also knowing the chances of 5 people coming at you, or 3, I guess in this situation.
Yeah, three.
Um, Yeah, basically look at it like you're fighting a 3-man, you gotta be very careful and use the surroundings around you to help you out. Um, there's not really much besides that we can say, considering it's the whole map, you know?
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Take plenty of grenades. Try to keep distance between you and Kollontay. That's the best advice I have for you on ground zero. It is a tough one. I don't like running it even, so while yes, him shooting tells you where he is, you still have to get in that area and you still have to like, spot him and kill him and deal with him and his guard. So, but again, it's only 2, so that's already easier. And typically you're going to catch him out on a main road. It's not too often he's inside the shops and stuff, so it's usually you got some time between you and him. Outside of that, I think that covers ground zero because there really is no strategy for it. Just always have plenty of grenades. If you're over level 21 going to ground zero, like I say in the other ones, prepare for what boss could be there. So if it's ground zero level 21 plus, Kollontay very well could be there. So you need to be prepared for that. Again, take your heavy hitting ammos, your high damage, your high pin, take plenty of grenades, good armor, the basics, right? Prepare for the raid that you're going into. Good luck on ground zero. I think I've killed him there once. It was a slugfest. It was rough. Yeah, outside of that, I think that covers it. This will conclude our How to Hunt Bosses series. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Talking Tarkov. We'll see you next week.